or date rape. If you don't want to do something, you have the right to say no. You should be believed and supported, and understand if you are raped, it's never your fault.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for cloudy skies today with a high near 33. Tonight, some light snow with a low around 27. And Saturday, more light snow with a high around 34. Eat Local Minnesota is a great way to find locally owned Minnesota restaurants and food purveyors. They feature high-quality food and unique eating experiences for your next meal. Some of those restaurants and food purveyors include the Park Tavern and Vinaigrette. Find a full list of all those restaurants and food purveyors at eatlocalminnesota.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Broadcasting live on AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota, and at night here on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk. It's the Matt McNeil Show for your Friday. Good to be with you on the end of the first semi-week of 2024. Good to be with you today. Matt Patrick here today in the 4 o'clock hour. Rick Smith going to join us, and then Michael Broadcorp going to join us as well. Patrick, how are we today?
Doing pretty well. How are you today?
I am realizing that as we complain as a society about the cost of things, the reality is some things are dirt freaking cheaper than they used to be. What I mean by that is I was I went to Target today, not a sponsor of the show. Went to Target today and just walking, kind of around the store. All of a sudden I come past 70-inch TVs for $500.
Well, that's a steal.
No, it is a steal. But the thing which is crazy is I remember when people were talking like, oh gosh, when you have to buy one of these things, they're $4,000 or $5,000, man. Go get a Costco membership and then you can kind of get it like that. If you want an example of something that is plummeted in price, it's big screen TVs. Now, we can also talk about the fact that pretty much the entire manufacturing base of that is moved overseas, and they're probably making it with less than stellar, equipment, not the top of the line product as it used to be. But at the same time, I had a friend who bought a 70-inch TV 15 years ago. It was like $35. He was talking about what a great deal it was. It's $3,500. Now, we'll give you a free one at checkout. Well, not necessarily, but I mean, it is remarkable. And by the way, those were not, I'm not going to say what brand they were because I'm really not getting paid by anyone, but they were not bad TVs. Those were some decent options as far as, especially the ones that have all the different options for all the streaming services and stuff like that. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Nice TVs. I remember calculators. You don't even know this. You're such a zygote. Calculators, man. In the 1970s, to even get a crappy calculator was like $10 back then, which was like what, 40 today. A cruddy calculator, an absolutely cruddy one, was like $10. Now they give them to you when you open up a checking account. And of course, phone calls. Phone calls were the real one, where, like I said, you go to your old cabin or something like that, and you find an old Life magazine or a National Geographic and call grandma, talk for 5 minutes, and it will only cost you $12. That sort of thing. Everybody can say hi once a year. There goes Jimmy's college fund. And then nowadays, it's when was the last time I was concerned about the cost of a long distance phone call? Heck, I video call Ireland over the holidays, which, it's like, oh yeah, we just got a service and how you guys doing over there? Good to see you. It's remarkable. TVs, for better or for worse, they are, that's one thing that people get more bang for the buck with. That's for sure, than they used to. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205 is the phone number. Were you ever a fan of David Soul? He's probably, speaking of the 70s, he's probably out of your window too, but were you ever a fan of Hutch from Starsky and Hutch?
I knew him. He was an alien in one episode of the original series of Star Trek. That's how I know him.
What was he? I did not realize
he was in the Apple.
Was he? Wow. Nicely done. Good reference. I'm going to give you even a better one because well, first of all, he was in the best Dirty Harry movie, Magnum Force. You ever see that one?
I did not know.
That's a good one. That's worth watching. Magnum Force is not a bad film. He was there, but I will say I think his crowning achievement was not Starsky and Hutch, nor was it his Don't Give Up on Me, Baby, the song from the 1970s, which was a top hit. I mean, it was a big one. No, I think the greatest thing he ever did was Salem's Lot, which it wasn't a movie, it was a TV miniseries. I think it was a 2-part TV miniseries. It might even be the first Stephen? I mean, I bet Carrie had come out before that. But it was a TV miniseries. Needless to say, it's one of the first adaptions of a Stephen King story. And it is a fantastic story. If you want to read a good book, Salem's Lot's a good read. They did that book incredible justice. That movie, still today, pound for pound, is scary as hell. Seriously. And David Soul's fantastic in it. The whole cast is fantastic in it. And I highly recommend it. The guy that played the vampires, it's vampires. Because it's Stephen King. It's going to be one, werewolves, vampires, aliens. It's vampires. The guy that plays his henchman was also in The Verdict. He played the lawyer in The Verdict, and I can't remember. And I think he got nominated for an Oscar for that. And I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Anyway, fantastic. Go if you can find Salem's Lot, not the remake they did, the original one from the 1970s. Yeah, do not watch that with the lights off. Do not watch that with the lights off. That holds up. That movie holds up. Yeah, and that's a tough one. David Soul, best known for his role in the 1970s television series Starsky and Hutch, has died. His wife announced a statement on CNN. He was 80 years old. David Soul, beloved husband, father, grandfather, and brother, died yesterday on January 4th after a valiant battle for life in the loving company of family. His wife, Helen Snell, wrote, he shared many extraordinary gifts with the world: actor, singer, storyteller, creative artist, the dear friend. His smile, laughter, and passion for life will be remembered by the many of those he's touched. No cause of death was shared. One of the things I was reminded of, he was in a play in London, and I don't know which one it was, but I believe he was in a play in London, and he sued a tabloid over there for the tabloid said it was the worst musical they'd ever seen. Funny story, the guy that wrote that article never saw the musical, never saw the play or musical. I don't know which one it was. And he successfully sued that journalist for defamation, I think it was, because he called it the worst ever, but never himself went to it. So that's why, and that was what, 10, 20 years ago, 20 years plus, 20, maybe a little bit longer. But that's, David Soul. Kind of sad. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. By the way, get one of those 70-inch TVs, watch Salem's Lot on that, and never sleep again. Never sleep again. Have you seen the original Salem's Lot?
I'm not really a horror guy.
Yeah, don't watch it then. You are not going to like that film. That film, yeah. The jump scares in that are off the charts. The vampire's the scariest one since Nosferatu, hands down. Holy God. One other quick note that has nothing to do with anything, but I wanted to mention this. Leslie Fema, we're of course up here in Minneapolis, St. Paul. She gets a lot of press up here because she's from Minnesota. This is the runner-up to The Golden Bachelor. Did you ever watch, Patrick, The Golden Bachelor?
I heard about it. I did not watch it.
Neither did I. She left The Golden Bachelor brokenhearted after star Jerry Turner, or is it Gary Turner? Gerry. Turner gave his like I said, I didn't watch it. Gave his final rose to another woman, Teresa Nist. As last week, FEMA landed in the hospital with a required surgery. It was a bowel blockage. Nice to have everyone know about that. But hey, thanks a lot. Awareness, we all know now. Despite all that, she did attend the Golden Couple's wedding on Thursday night, which was televised live on ABC. At our age, we have to celebrate love, FEMA told fellow contestant Kathy Swartz during an interview as guests arrive. I was very good friends with Teresa. I'm so happy for her and Gary. I really am. Jerry, I really am. And I'm here by the end of the day. I support the love in any way. All right. FEMA was Turner's runner-up in the first season of The Golden Bachelor, which featured daters in their 60s and 70s rather than their 20s and 30s. The longtime fitness instructor and former professional figure skater was now known for her dance moves and dating Prince. I'm quick side note in this story. I am waiting for what I think is eventually going to happen. The Zaddy, the golden Zaddy or something like that, where it's going to be a 60, 70-year-old guy and it's going to be a bunch of 20 and 30-year-old girls. And then it'll be the Bachelorette will be a 60, 70-year-old woman and a bunch of 20, 30-year-old. That's coming. It's only Fox. I'm surprised Fox hasn't greenlit this already just by the mention on me saying it. I'm shocked by that. But something like that is coming, especially with the popularity of The Golden Bachelor. Here's the question I have. Really? I get it. I'm going to guess, and it sounds like FEMA is going to be the first ever Golden Bachelorette. It sounds like it. I don't know these things. I don't read In Touch or Us. Maybe I should. I mean, sure, when I go get my hair done, every once in a while, just while I'm waiting. But I don't really read those periodicals. I kind of pay attention to politics and stuff like this. I think she's going to be the Golden Bachelorette. That's at least how they kind of done it in the past, where the runner-up goes and becomes the next Bachelor or Bachelorette. Would you really have them at your wedding? I know ABC is doing this and wants it there, but would you really want the runner-up to a reality show, especially? And I did do a minor bit of research on this subject after the fact, and it sounds like indeed many people around this guy, this Jerry guy, a lot of people did not like that the person he chose and wanted her to choose FEMA. Would you really want? If I was the couple getting married, I don't know if I'd want the runner-up to the contest to be there. No. It would be like having your regular wedding and then having your spouse's ex, that they were seriously considering marrying at the wedding. No, that doesn't sound like a really good foundation for the new relationship. Maybe I'm approved. Well, I can tell you right now, I'm not going to probably be the spoiler alert, the Bachelor or Golden Bachelor or Zaddy Bachelor. I'm not going to be that anytime soon for many reasons. Oh God, we could get volumes on reason why I'm not going to be there. But that being said, I wouldn't, even if it was a TV reality show, I'm pretty sure I would have at least a little bit of standards to say, no, let's make sure you don't throw out the welcome mat too quick there. All right. How about we get into some politics when we do come back? It is the Matt McNeil Show right here on your Friday.
They never last too long, and when I think of things, they always turn out wrong.
Now at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, we have new Fireplace Extraordinaire hybrid fireplace inserts.
These wood-burning inserts are made in 2 sizes and 9 different designs to fit your existing fireplace and enhance your home's architecture. They not only feature a big, beautiful fire viewing area, they heat so efficiently that they qualify for a 30% tax credit, which can save you $2,000.
Advancing the art of fire is the motto of Fireplace Extraordinaire. For 30 years, the EPA has certified all wood-burning heaters for clean burning. But these new hybrids add a catalytic combustor. They burn even longer, more efficiently, and cleaner. To design these inserts to work well and look good is Fireplace Extraordinaire's Art of Fire.
At woodlandstoves.com, you can see the many options. Work with the chimney and installation experts. They not only install, but will guide you if you want to install yourself. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has over 35 working wood, gas, and electric units on display at the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, out of the ordinary products and services.
Winter is here, and there's a good chance your home isn't being heated efficiently. And it's likely because of air sealing and insulation problems. Inadequate attic insulation is the leading contributor to high energy bills, cold rooms, and ice dams. Great news. The energy efficient pros at Snap Construction can fix it all. Stop the heat from leaking out and save. Call 612-333-SNAP or visit snapconstruction.com for your free infrared energy inspection. Install with Snap Construction and qualify for over $750 in rebates and incentives. State and city programs are now offering 0% financing for qualifying insulation upgrades. So call Snap Construction for your free insulation energy consultation and start saving on your energy bills. Call 612-333-SNAP. That's 612-333-SNAP. Or visit snapconstruction.com. Snap Construction is arguably the most well-reviewed insulation and exterior contractor in the metro area.
Thanks to everyone who's continued to support AM 950. Good news, the AM 950 2024 calendar is ready to go, featuring photos I took around Minnesota and important progressive dates. Members that sign up with a one-time $25 membership will receive a 2024 AM 950 calendar as a thank you. Make a one-time $50 or $100 donation. You'll get the AM 950 calendar and the brand new AM 950 tote bag as a thank you. Go to am950radio.com for all the details on the membership. That's am950radio.com. Thank you so much for supporting AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Hey, Twin Cities, it's Andy Otto with Twin Cities Pride. I have some exciting news. We have our own show coming to AM 950, Twin Cities Pride Amplified. Each week, tune in to explore the vibrant world of LGBTQ rights, culture, health, and local events. Allies, we want you to listen too. Pride isn't just the month of June. It's the entire year, and so is our show. Twin Cities Pride Amplified debuts on AM 950 on January 6th and airs Saturdays at 3 p.m. See you on the 6th.
It is the Matt McNeil Show on your Friday. Good to be with you today. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. So I want to talk a little bit about particularly Nikki Haley. And last night in the CNN debate. Now, the main thing I want to make sure we establish from the beginning, from the get-go, is that this is supposedly the moderate Republican choice. This is for all you moderate Republicans out there, we don't have to go with the extreme. We have to go with Nikki Haley. There are two specific things she's done that just, I don't think you could consider her moderate in any capacity. Now, the first one has to do with this is the one that really exposes how far to the right this went, that this party has gone, how far the Republicans have moved. Because once again, this is Nikki Haley. This is supposed to be the moderate, the compromise candidate, one of these things. I mean, I guess Chris Christie would probably be the real moderate candidate out there, but she's the one that I'm not the extremist like DeSantis and Trump. I am more moderate. Quote, I knew half of South Carolina and saw the Confederate flag as a heritage and tradition. My job wasn't to judge either side. That is the way we have to work on issues that try to divide us. The leader doesn't decide who's right. Wait, what? Wait, what? Okay. This is the moderate looking at the Confederate flag and basically saying, I don't want to judge the Confederate flag. Now, let me make sure we, get something out here really quick. The Confederate flag that we see, the stars and bars, the one that was painted on the General Lee and the Dukes of Hazzard, that wasn't the actual flag of the Confederacy during the Civil War, but was kind of adopted after the Civil War as kind of a wink and a nudge. I'll put it in a different way. I've talked before about I spent my 9th grade year in high school in Georgia, in rural Georgia. Boy, was that an eye-opener. And I remember back in the early 80s going past one of the trophy cases, and there was the picture of the football team there. And the football team, a whole bunch of the white guys were holding up what we now know as the white power okay sign. And now I am a big white guy. So I asked another white guy, I was like, what's up with this? And he said, oh, that's white power. And this is back in the 80s, by the way, or in the early 80s. Oh, that's white power. That's, you see the W and the P, that's white power. It's a signal to do this. And they did this in the photo. And he says the great part, and this is, this guy was a bit of a racist too, apparently. He said the great part about it is if anybody gets upset, you can just say, I was doing the okay side. And so it's clear. I mean, this was back in the early 80s. That was a prevalent part of racist culture. It was there. Kind of the same premises there. This isn't the Confederate flag. This is a flag about history, but the flag was basically embraced by the racists and the people that felt that slavery should be reinstituted in the United States. And you really can't separate yourself from that. Now, if you are in the fine state of Illinois or Indiana or in Wisconsin or in Minnesota, I should let you know the Confederate flag, the Confederates killed a heck of a lot of citizens in your state. Brave men and women who fought to keep the United States of America together were attacked by the radical South, who murdered a heck of a lot of American troops, including troops from Illinois and Indiana and from Wisconsin and from Minnesota. And I have often talked about on my radio show up here in the Twin Cities about the 1st Minnesota at Gettysburg, who saved the day, and it was their unit got almost wiped out, but they still held the field and won their flags. And by the way, Alabama, you can't have your flags back. They're ours now. Yeah. So the Confederate flag it's a symbol of people who, like, it's about heritage. It's only about heritage when someone says, why are you flying the Confederate flag? When they're not flying, they're not being asked about why they're flying the Confederate flag. They'll tell you straight up, it's about letting the black people know exactly where I stand. They'll tell you that. They told me that all the time in the South when I lived down there for a little bit of time. And you go to the South right now, if you're a white person and you're around white people, they'll tell you right to your face. Yeah, it has nothing to do with heritage. It's about basically telling the black community where you stand. That is Nikki Haley. Now, once again, and she's not stupid about this. She came from South Carolina. And trust me, once you get away from the coast in South Carolina, it's the South. I mean, it is the South. You don't decide who's right. Would you say that, Nikki, about the Nazi flag? Nikki, would you say that about the ISIS flag? Because basically those people as well attacked the United States. And I don't think there's another side of it. You want to sit there and act as if, well, this is about Southern tradition and Southern culture. No. If you want to do that, do some, some Southern food, do some biscuits and gravy or some fried chicken or fried fish or, pick your delicious Southern mac and cheese. Put that on a flag. That's Southern tradition right there. Don't try to sit there and try to act like there's a nuance here. And that's what she's trying to do. Once again, the moderate version of the Republican Party is telling us, hey, those people on the side that were pro-Confederacy, is it right place to tell them they're wrong? Yes, it is. And the thing which is sad about this with Nikki Haley is she actually did stand up for this. She actually did stand up and say the Confederate flag needs to go away, because after that psychopath shot up that church and murdered a whole bunch of people, you see all these pictures of them with the Confederate flag, and people looked at the South Carolina flag. It's like, what the heck is that up there? And they changed it. And by the way, once again, if you're looking for absolutely gorgeous state flags, South Carolina is one of the best. Absolutely blue with the palmetto tree and the crescent. It's just fantastic. Absolutely a fantastic flag. They changed it for the better because they realized the other flag was wrong. And she was at the front of that. So for her today to try to act as if, hey, racist, don't get mad at me. It's not my job to tell you you're wrong for being racist. Well, then let me freaking do it. You're wrong for being racist. Hey, you in the silence of your own heart in your own house, whatever. But don't be flying that stuff around let we all can see it. You know what? Stop it. Do better. To quote a Michael Jordan meme, get some help. Do better. There you go. Stop it. No, you can't. This is, once again, she is, with this having to pander to the far-right extremist, nutbag, far-right, loon ball extremist right, which these people have to do in these primaries. It is bizarre to see her torpedo any chance she has that if she does get out of this, she's not going to be able to get past a lot of this stuff. We'll take a break, come back. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
And see it working for them. And still I want to join.
This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, weekdays at 5 p.m. On our show, you'll hear about Native issues like treaties, protecting Mother Earth, and holding our elected officials accountable. Weekly correspondents like Dr. Stately, State Senator Mary Kunesh, Robert Lilligren, and Bob Blake update us with the latest news from Turtle Island. Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Listen weekdays at 5 p.m. or watch the show on Native Roots Radio social media accounts. Ho-wah!
Hi, Matt McNeil here. You're listening to the best progressive radio in Minnesota. It's AM 950, KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Hi, this is Frank Brown, owner of Minuteman Press Uptown, Minnesota's only minority-owned union printing company. We have big news. We've moved to North Minneapolis.
Why did you move?
As a Black business owner, I wanted to be part of the North Minneapolis community to provide jobs.
Are there other reasons you moved there?
We have bigger new equipment and outgrew the other location.
What kind of new equipment do you have?
We have new equipment that allows us to print quality signage and banners. We also have a new inkjet printer, printing larger sheets, improving production efficiencies.
Is the new location easy to find?
It's not only easy to find, it's more convenient with plenty of parking. We are now located on Washington Avenue North off I-94 and the Dowling exit.
So do you still print everything?
We print more than everything. We have over 175 Google reviews with a 5-star rating. Call 612-870-0777 or visit mpuptown.com. That's mpuptown.com. We print everything.
Hey there, AM 950 community. Join me, J. Peter Bogosian, every Saturday, 2 to 3 p.m. for a double dose of queer joy. This queer book saved my life, and The Gaily Show. These programs are a jubilant celebration of the transformative impact of queer literature and the dynamic spirit of LGBTQ plus culture and entertainment right here in Minnesota. Tune in and be a part of this vibrant community. For all the details, visit thisqueerbook.com and am950radio.com.
AM 950, KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Seward Co-op is now offering convenient self-serve and prepackaged hot options and salad bars at both the Franklin and Friendship stores. Breakfast items available daily until 11 a.m. and brunch served all day every Sunday. Their weekly lunch and dinner menus highlight cuisines from around the world. They offer vegan, vegetarian, and gluten-free options daily. 95% of the ingredients used are organic from small-scale, local community food producers whenever possible. More at seward.coop.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for cloudy skies today with a high near 33. Tonight, some light snow with a low around 27. And Saturday, more light snow with a high around 34. Eat Local Minnesota is a great way to find locally owned Minnesota restaurants and food purveyors. They feature high-quality food and unique eating experiences for your next meal. Some of those restaurants and food purveyors include the Park Tavern and Vinaigrette. Find a full list of all those restaurants and food purveyors at eatlocalminnesota.com.
Broadcasting on WCPT 820 Chicago's Progressive Talk and AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show. Good to be with you today. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Go to the phone lines. Mary Joyce is in Hopkins. Welcome on in, Mary Joyce.
Hi, Matt.
Hey,
Yeah. I just wanted to comment. I've got two dogs in the car. I'm sorry. I just wanted to comment about when you were talking about the flag thing. And I think given time, I think the Republican Party would absolutely embrace the Nazi flag and the ISIS flag if it benefited them. And I think, we've seen that in the past just with them embracing things we never thought that they would before. And I grew up in Inver Grove, and just about 4 years ago, they had the Confederate flag as a prize in the booths for like winning things. When you have you shoot something and knock down and you get a prize. And it was Confederate flag, and that was in Inver Grove in 2018.
Wow. That's disturbing. Thanks, Mary Joyce. No, and we've already had, by the way, a case. Wasn't it DeSantis down in Florida? There were some people out there flying, waving the Nazi flag, I think outside of Disney World. And he eventually came back out and like, I condemn it now. But his first version at saying, hey, you know what? The Nazi flag is bad. I'm not exactly rooting for Rolf from Sound of Music. He finally basically had to come out on that. No, I would. I'm dead serious when she's exactly right. In 100 years, will we have the quote unquote moderate Republican candidate talking about, come on, man, the Nazi flag, some people consider that what's the term she used here? The tradition. Some people saw the Nazi flag as heritage and tradition. I guarantee you they'll in 100 years, unless they do a course correction on this party. And right now, I don't see any way in the world they're going to be able to do that. They're extremist. I mean, this is who they are. And whenever they're not being extremist, let's talk about the Republicans and failed policy, because their policy is atrocious too. Because also last night, Nikki did what Republicans, the conservative right, does, which is to solve a problem. They throw out a solution that isn't a solution. It's just a talking point. It's not a policy. Because there's no way on the planet they would support the policy that they would put forward. Yesterday, we talked about after the shooting in Iowa, Vivek Ramaswamy says it's mental health. Now, it is also the guns. Let's be honest about it. But to a point, he's right. It is a mental health issue. So what are you going to do about mental health? And I can talk right now authoritatively. I've had people on who are experts in mental health issues. The rural America right now is operating at something like 20 to 30% capacity of needed mental health professionals in rural America. We desperately need mental health professionals there. The metro areas aren't much better. It's, most of the established clinics that have counselors are already booked to capacity. I think one of the big problems they have is to get licensed. Actually, it's a very expensive process for the people who are trying to become mental health professionals. I think you could streamline that, at least do some covering of costs there that would help out and get more mental health professionals into the field. Absolutely. That would cost money. You need to put initiatives that would cost extras. You would need to build some mental health centers, especially in rural America. That would cost extra money. They're not going to say this. All of those things, by the way, are good ideas and would address what Vivek Ramaswamy brought up, which is mental health is a problem. Absolutely. But you see, that's the it for him. Just saying it's mental health issues. Nothing else. He's not going to solve the problem. He doesn't want to solve the problem. He doesn't want to solve the problem. He doesn't want to do anything. He doesn't want to ever put numbers down on paper. Yesterday, at that same CNN thing, Nikki Haley, we have to secure our schools the same way we secure our airports and courthouses, goes on to talk about a guard in every school. Now, first of all, if you're going to talk about courthouses, federal courthouses and airports, you can't bring a gun into them anyway. So I'm not sure, that's not a comparable thing. I mean, it's not like you have armed guards to the teeth in these places. Well, I guess in some places you do, and that's I think where she was trying to go with this. Needless to say, we've had schools. There have been school shootings. Uvalde had a guard there. They had the one down at Parkland at a guard. There was a shooting up at Red Lake. They had some kind of service officer there. You've had numerous cases where there have been these people in place, and it just doesn't do anything. The argument, Republicans have always made the argument of put someone like that, a security guard there, or arm the teachers, not because it's going to stop the shootings. By far, it's not going to. But now they have a person to blame for the shooting. Well, the gunman was able to kill all those kids because the teacher didn't all of a sudden become Jason Statham and basically, do triple flips shooting the gun and take out the bad guy. You see, it's not about solving the problem. It's about creating people to blame for the problem as opposed to addressing the problem. There are too many freaking guns out there. Nikki Haley wants to do this. Let me. It's time for Matt's Math Corner because, yeah. By the way, a simple check will show that there are about 84,000 public school buildings. Now, not private school. I'm just talking about the public school buildings. 84,000 public school buildings in the country. 84,000. My presumption is you're going to want to pay these people more than minimum wage to put their lives on the line. I tried to get as many people. I made a comment about this on social media earlier today, and many people came back as like, okay, you said $50,000. I was trying to find a way to make this as cheap as I possibly could for the Republicans, just for their argument. And so, yeah, I put it at $50,000. Many people pointed to me that that's not going to be nearly enough to hire trained professionals who are going to deal with such things as, a crazed individual with an assault weapon out there. But still, we'll just do it for, just to get a number, $50,000 a year per each security guard for 84,000 buildings in the country. That is, by the way, your minimum cost per year. Per year, $4.2 billion just for that. And as some people pointed out, it's like, okay, well, in some schools, you're going to need to have 2 or 3 resource officers because the schools are that big. And there's also, you're not going to be able to get one person doing an 8-hour shift because a lot of these schools do things well into the evening. So you're going to have at least many of these school districts are going to be 2 people. And people then came back and told me, you're not going to be able to just pay this person $50,000. It's going to be closer to $75,000, maybe $100,000 to put their lives on the line to try to stop psychopaths from shooting up the place. Or on top of it, benefits, we forget about those. Obviously, a good healthcare plan is going to be something that's going to be an essential with this job. It is going to cost, once again, probably conservatively per year, $15 billion to do this. Conservatively, $15 billion. Now, if I was to go to Nikki Haley with, hey, we're going to spend $15 billion, she wouldn't even hear what for. She'd say, nope, we're not going to do this. And I say, wait a second, no. This is your plan. You wanted to put a security guard in every building and every school and have them there while they're there. This is what it will cost, $15 billion per year. She said, no, we won't do it. I mean, she would absolutely outright say, no, that's just too expensive. We're not going to do it. She might try to do an unfunded mandate where they say, well, the school district has to hire these people, but we're not going to give you any additional money for it. See, the coward's way out. But that is, the reality is that I highly doubt that is, they would even try to do that. The Republican Party is all about this. I can't even, like I said, you can't even use the term policy without any, because it's just a talking point. It's just a talking point. That's all it is. It's a talking point. They're only saying this because they just want people to forget about it. It's like when people, I don't think there's anything wrong. I'm a Christian myself. I don't think there's anything wrong with people praying for victims and feeling sorry for victims. I don't. But if that's all you're doing, it seems to me what you're really doing is praying to make yourself feel better about things, not actually trying to help the people who are victims here. Because if you want to do something, prayer is great, but there needs to be action. And for a lot of people, especially on the right, there's just prayer. See, I prayed. See, my soul's, been admonished. I don't have to worry anymore about things. And that's not how it works. And the reality is I could easily make an argument. Someone this came at me today and said, name a law not already in the books that would have solved any of this. All right, fine. Mandatory gun safety programs to own a gun, gun insurance, a database of all gun sales in the United States and all guns that are owned in the United States. Mandatory 20-year jail term for anyone illegally selling a gun. Military grade weapons not freely available. Guarantee if we put those into place tomorrow, that would start solving a lot of these problems. You can't do that. Yes, you can. Antonin Scalia, not exactly Johnny Liberal. He said that because you guys want to skip on past that whole well-regulated militia part of the Second Amendment. He said, as a constitutionalist, that you can regulate the Second Amendment. We can regulate the First Amendment. You guys, this whole new mentality that you can't, that the Second Amendment is absolute, is only since 2000, basically, where you guys have been betrothed to the Republican Party, has been betrothed to the gun lobby and the gun industry. You could pass all those laws and they would hold up because, yeah. The ugly reality is this. They're not going to do anything. Vivek Ramaswamy, Nikki Haley, Trump, DeSantis, none of them. None of them are going to do a damn thing. Speaker Johnson, nothing. Nope, they're not going to do a thing because it comes down to one simple, basic fact. They do not care about your kids getting killed. They don't. Once again, their prayers without any actions are only about saving their soul, not actually about solving the problem. Plain and simple. The profit margins for the gun industry and the bullet industry matter more to them than your children's life. And that goes for everyone who is listening to me. If you're a conservative who's listening, hi, all right. But this goes for your kids too. Your kids could get gunned down. They don't care. They don't care because the only thing that matters to them are the profit margins for the gun manufacturers and the bullet manufacturers. I've often said, I mean, corporate America is kind of a ruthless place. I've often said that if at the end of this day, killing me would increase a Forbes 500 corporation's stock price by 2 cents on the end of the day, I wouldn't make it out of the day. I wouldn't make it out of this building. At least I'd guess a third of the Fortune 500 companies would take care of me right away. Because that's 2 cents on the share, man. That's a lot of money. No, I mean, the corporate America is a cold, heartless place. And that's why we should never say corporations are people, my friend. No, they're not. They're a company. It's a business. They have no heart. They have no soul. They're basically only in them for themselves. It's the worst kind of human being, if you would even want to try to call them that. But the gun industry, for God's sakes, they have bought and paid for the entire House and Senate Republican caucus. And their whole goal is this: you're not doing a damn thing, because our profit margins for the gun industry and the bullet industry matter more than any one single child who's been gunned down in this country. And don't you ever forget it. And they don't, because the Republican Party is a bunch of freaking lapdogs. By the way, I should mention, speaking of this, the NRA, longtime head of the National Rifle Association, said he's resigning. Wayne LaPierre, just days before the start of a civil trial over allegations he diverted millions of dollars from the powerful gun rights group to pay for personal travel and other lavish perks. He says he has health issues, but I think he's trying to avoid that as well. It should also be noted, it's a very likely chance that the NRA was funneling money from Russia directly to the Republican Party as a front. It was a money laundering scheme to get Russian dollars into Republican Party coffers. And it worked, because there's a lot of those guys that just still worship Russia. It's kind of scary. So, just the more you know. Rainbow emoji. Let's take a break. Come on back. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
Tune in for Philosophy Talk, the program that questions everything
except your intelligence.
Coming up, American Futures.
When Ken Taylor passed away, he was working on a book about the future of the American Republic.
So for our end of year special, we'll think about where we may all be headed.
Is the U.S. on the road to civil war? Authoritarianism? A national divorce?
Or brighter days ahead?
What have you been smoking?
American Futures on Philosophy Talk.
Philosophy Talk, every Sunday at 8 a.m. on AM 950.
Minnesotans are hardy. We don't let snow or ice get in our way. We have places to go, so making sure your vehicle is in prime shape for winter driving is so important. Take your vehicle to Rudy Luther Toyota for all your service needs. I was just there. I got my oil and filters replaced, and they did a complete safety check to make sure my vehicle can tackle what winter has up its sleeve. And they service all makes and models of vehicles. Head to RudyLutherToyota.com and use their super easy Toyota service scheduler to set up your service appointment today. Rudy Luther Toyota on the southeast corner of 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
Now at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, the new Lopi hybrid wood stoves.
Lopi wood-burning stoves in sizes and designs to fit your heating need and style choice. They not only feature a big, beautiful fire viewing area, they heat so efficiently that they qualify for the 30% tax credit. With this federal tax credit, you can earn $2,000 when you install efficient wood heating.
Lopi advances the technology of wood burning. EPA certified for clean burning, these new hybrids include refined catalytic combustor design. They burn not only cleaner, but longer and more efficiently. Lopi brings heating with wood into the 21st century.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has been selling wood-burning products since 1977. We want to make fire work for you. Let us show you how Lopi wood-burning stoves can work in your home.
Get in touch with the folks at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. They are the chimney and insulation experts. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has over 35 working wood, gas, and electric units on display at the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis.
Hi, this is Laura. Listen to Food Freedom Radio every Saturday at 8 a.m. or anytime via podcast. Our individual health is connected to the health of each other and connected to the health of the earth. We know the problems with the dominant food system: climate change, deadening soils, nitrates in the water, factory farming, injustice, concentration of wealth. How do we both as individuals and as a community step up and support a living food system which honors the earth? Tune to Food Freedom Radio every Saturday at 8 a.m. and remember to support your independent farmers.
Experiencing an injury or illness? Wondering if you'll be able to keep your job or when you can return to work? The Minnesota Retain program may be able to help. Participants may qualify for free support from experts who can guide you through the next steps to get you back to work quickly and safely. Visit mnretain.com or call 507-284-4537 to learn more. Minnesota Retain is fully funded under a grant awarded by the U.S. Department of Labor and the Social Security Administration. This message is brought to you by Minnesota Retain, this station, and the Minnesota Broadcasters Association.
It's the Matt McNeil Show. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Hey, let's take a visit and dive on into the Smile File. Hey, the Department of Justice Friday said nearly 1,300 individuals have been arrested and charged with their alleged involvement in the January 6th attack on the Capitol. Yay! That's right. We're tracking you down, you scum. Anti-American scum. Dang right. Around 200 of those arrests came in the last 6 months. Right. Got to catch them all. Like Pokemon, only with a bunch of jackasses. Well, actually, I don't know about the personality of any of the Pokemon characters. I mean, they could be really despicable human beings or creatures or whatever. But needless to say, basically, so once 200 of those arrests in the last 6 months, signaling the DOJ's prosecutorial efforts are still going strong 3 years after the deadly assault. In an update sent out marking 3 years since the attack, the U.S. Attorney's Office for D.C. said more than 1,265 defendants from nearly all 50 states have all been charged in connection with the January 6th. Nearly 452 have been charged with assaulting a police officer, 123 with using a deadly weapon to do so. Hey, wait a second here. I thought all these Republicans who kept saying it was Democrats that were disguised as Antifa, but they were actually really wholesome American MAGA people. I thought that they all said that those guys were unarmed. Wait a second, 123 with a deadly weapon. Oh, okay. Another 11 have been charged with assaulting members of the media or destroying their equipment. Roughly 71 defendants have been charged with destruction of government property and 56 with a theft of government property. Over 332 have been charged with corruptly obstructing, influencing, or impeding an official proceeding or attempting to do so. The vast majority of the defendants, whose cases have all been resolved, have pleaded guilty, many of them who faced or will face incarceration at sentencing. Yay! Smile File. Out of the 718 guilty pleas, 213 involved felonies, including 89 for assaulting a police officer, 41 for obstructing, and 4 for seditious conspiracy. Another 171 were found guilty of contested trials, 76 of whom were charged with assaulting an officer. Roughly 467 defendants have been sentenced to prison terms, some as high as 12 and a half years. Hey, time for you to think about what you've done. Now, I could just do Smile File and just kind of leave it at that. I will say that there are still people out there we need to find. Yep, we do. Authorities are still working to identify more than 80 people wanted for attacks of violence at the Capitol and to find out who placed the pipe bombs outside the Republican and Democratic National Committee's offices the day before the Capitol attack. And they continue to regularly make new arrests, even as some January 6 defendants are being released from prison and completing their sentences. Dozens of people believed to have assaulted law enforcement during the riot have yet to be identified by authorities, according to the sources. And the statute of limitations on the crimes is 5 years, which means they would have to be charged by January 6, 2026. Several defendants have also fled after being charged. Oh, so proud of yourselves, aren't you? One of these guys, by the way, was with the Proud Boys. You're running away. I hope you're a fry cook out in the middle of Montana someplace? Several defendants who have fled after being charged, including a Proud Boy member in Florida who disappeared while he's in house arrest after he was convicted of using pepper spray gel on police officers. Christopher Worrell, who spent weeks on the lam, is sentenced on Thursday to 10 years in prison. Good for you. You enjoy yourself. The FBI is still searching for some defendants who have been on the run for months, including a brother-sister pair from Florida. Olivia Pollock disappeared shortly before her trial was supposed to begin in March. Her brother, Jonathan Pollock, is also missing. The FBI has offered a reward of up to $30,000 for information leading to the arrest of Jonathan Pollock, who is accused of thrusting a riot shield into an officer's face and throat, pulling an officer down the steps and punching others. So, yeah, let's find that guy. Another defendant, Evan Newman, fled the U.S. 2 months after his December 21 indictment. He's believed to be living in Belarus. I bet that's fantastic. Oh, what about that pipe bomber? Well, one of the biggest mysteries remains surrounding the riot is the identity of the person who placed the 2 pipe bombs outside the offices of the Republican and Democratic National Committees the day before the Capitol attack. Last year, authorities increased the reward up to $500,000 for information leading to the person's arrest. It remains unclear whether there has been a connection between the pipe bombs and the riot. I don't think it was just coincidence, a coinky-dink. Investigators have spent thousands of hours over the last 3 years doing interviews and combing through evidence and tips to the public, said David Sundberg, assistant director in charge of the FBI Washington field office, I should say. We urge anyone who may have previously hesitated to come forward, who may have realized they had important information, to contact us. If you think you got any information, contact the FBI. We got to find these people. Or, I guess that, them basically being on the run in Belarus for the rest of their life. Well, good luck with that. It'll be interesting what happens when that government fails, because I don't think that government's going to be around much longer. When that government fails, it's going to be interesting to see what happens when it gets imported back here. It's like, I'm a sovereign citizen. Sure you are, clown car. Seriously. You got to catch all these guys. You got to catch them all. I should mention Roger Stone. It's interesting, too. There's a story about him. He was filmed taking a phone call from the Proud Boys leader, Enrique Tarrio, on the lead up to January 6th attack on the United States Capitol. Once again, I've said this before, that Roger Stone clearly seems to have been the point person for the Trump campaign with these groups that were going to go and storm the Capitol. And there actually is a story out of Michigan today which directly connects the Trump campaign now to the false electors, that connection is now made, that there are people with the Trump campaign that were advising and guiding the fake electors in Michigan. This was all coordinated through Trump and his people, including what happened there. Those groups that showed up armed to the gills, those groups that showed up with their tactical gear and all their radios, and that had the schematics for the Capitol building, who seemed to have allies within the Congress in the Capitol building themselves. This was all coordinated. And Roger Stone sure stinks to high heck, because during this filming, there was a documentary they were doing on him. During the filming of this, he said, hey, I got to take this in private, and basically shooed the cameras away so he could talk to Enrique Tarrio by himself. If you keep him in jail for a little bit longer, get him to flip, and let's go after Raj, because I want to see that guy go to jail. Oh, I think that Nixon tattoo will do great for you. Hey, Chicago, have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next week. Minneapolis, St. Paul, hour 2 up next.
Pruner's Supper Club invites you to enjoy drinks, a delicious dinner, and live music from both big-name local and national artists in a wide array of styles. Before or after your show, check out the new Maggie's Lounge, a perfect spot to visit with friends. It's open Wednesdays through Sundays beginning at 4:30 with cocktails and light fare. And you don't need a ticket to enjoy the great atmosphere of Maggie's. Pruner's Supper Club off Moore Lake and Highway 65. A little piece of old school nightlife in the 21st century.
The AM 950 2024 calendar is here, and we have a brand new thank you you're going to love. A meet and greet with me, Matt McNeil, and other hosts from AM 950. Become a sustaining member of AM 950 with a recurring monthly payment of $50 or more, or make a one-time membership donation of $250 or more. And not only will you receive the AM 950 calendar and the AM 950 tote bag as a thank you, but you'll also be invited to an exclusive thank you, the meet and greet. For more details or to sign up to become a member, go to am950radio.com. That's am950radio.com.
Your Need to Know News headquarters, the Tom Hartman Program, AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
AP News, I'm Ed Donahue. Kicking off his election year campaign, President Biden's warning of the stakes for America if Donald Trump is sent back to the White House.
A day before the Capitol riot's third anniversary.
It was on that day that we nearly lost America. Lost it all.
The president says Trump still celebrates those who rioted at his urging and still talks about being a dictator. So the key question is whether American democracy will survive.
It's what the 2024 election is all about.
Speaking near Valley Forge, Pennsylvania, a key Revolutionary War site, the president invoked George Washington's refusal to cling to power, contrasting that with a power-hungry Trump, the GOP's presidential frontrunner, and says the choice is stark come November.
We all know who Donald Trump is. The question we have to answer is, who are we?
Sagar Magani, Washington.
Stocks finished higher, the Dow up 25 points. The Labor Department says 2023 ended with a strong jobs report. 216,000 jobs were added in December, a sign the economy is holding up despite higher interest rates. For a second straight day, subway service is being hampered by a train derailment in New York along the west side of Manhattan. MTA's General Lieber says one car still needs to be moved.
It's in a tunnel. The process of re-railing it is a little complicated. There are professionals down there. God bless them. There's an army of people that have been down there overnight. Haven't slept.
Wayne LaPierre has resigned as leader of the National Rifle Association. He's facing a civil trial over allegations he diverted millions of dollars from the powerful gun rights organization to pay for personal travel and other lavish perks. Multiple people were injured when a tour bus carrying passengers rolled over on a highway in the southern Adirondacks in New York. This is AP News.
Paid for by Wesley Financial Group.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. 800-462-3333. That's 800-462-3333.
We're going abroad for the first time in years, to Spain. So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast.
With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Start learning a new language today at Babbel.com. That's Babbe.
Is your remote workforce putting your company at risk? Cyber criminals are targeting your employees with COVID-19 inspired emails and attacking businesses like yours. Hi, Mark Sommerfeld from Rymark. Rymark has the tools and expertise to enable your employees to work securely from home. If you need help getting your staff to work remotely and securely, call 651-328-8900 or go to rymarkit.com. That's 651-328-8900 or rymarkit.com.
Don't drive too fast or you will miss Scott Jemama's Hot Barbecue. Scott Jemama's offers huge taste out of a little place. Located at 3 West Diamond Lake Road near the intersection of Nicollet Avenue and West Diamond Lake Road in Minneapolis, this tiny hole in the wall offers mouth-watering baby back ribs, grilled chicken, and half-pound pulled pork sandwiches. Don't forget to add the potato salad, spicy baked beans, twice-baked potatoes, and delicious desserts. Find their hours and full menu at scottjemamas.com.
My name's Michaela. When I got back from Iraq, I became pregnant and ended up homeless. Counselors helped us apply for VA supportive housing.
VA offers programs to help eligible veterans stay healthy, find a job, and secure or maintain safe, stable housing.
My life works now. I got help from VA, and now I'm on a mission to share these resources.
If you or a veteran you know is homeless or at immediate risk of becoming homeless, call 877-424-3838.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for cloudy skies today with a high near 33. Tonight, some light snow with a low around 27. And Saturday, more light snow with a high around 34. Eat Local Minnesota is a great way to find locally owned Minnesota restaurants and food purveyors. They feature high-quality food and unique eating experiences for your next meal. Some of those restaurants and food purveyors include the Park Tavern and Vinaigrette. Find a full list of all those restaurants and food purveyors at eatlocalminnesota.com. Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Hour number 2 of the show here. Good to be with you, Minneapolis, St. Paul. It is the Matt McNeil Show. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. Coming up here in a little bit, Michael Broadcorp comes into. I don't want to say it's our funeral speech for the Viking season, but it's probably going to be the funeral speech for the Viking season. We'll talk to him about the loss last week as well as the game coming up. But there was a little bit of a shocker of a news story that came on out where the Teamsters chief went and met with Trump at Mar-a-Lago. And obviously this is what? Yeah, exactly. Rick Smith. The Rick Smith Show airs at 8 o'clock weeknights right here on AM 950. He, of course, has got his fingers on the pulse of the union worker in this country. We had to get him on the air to talk about this. Hey, Rick.
Matt, how are you, brother?
I'm doing very well out there. How are you doing, man? It's good to see you still fighting the good fight for the union worker, man.
Somebody's got to. I'm looking at this, and I got to tell you, it's. I didn't believe it at first. At first, the first reaction I saw the picture that was sent to me, and I'm going, no, that's got to be Photoshop. Nobody would do something that stupid. And the Teamsters actually tweeted out the fact that their general president, Sean O'Brien, who I've met, who I voted for, who I like, who I'm pulling for, who I think did a great job on the UPS contract, and I have great hope for in the future. Whoever thought this was a good idea, whatever consultant gave him this nugget of an idea, should probably be fired. But when I saw this, I'm going, I don't get it. I don't get the point.
No.
Why would you make the pilgrimage down to Mar-a-Lago down there, knowing what Trump has done? I mean, this is the problem. And what's interesting to me, Matt, and I'm looking at the picture that the Teamsters put out in their tweet. Saying that, hey, we're going to sit down with we sat down with Trump and had a productive discussion and all this nonsense. And the picture that they gave of Trump giving the big smiley thumbs up, and O'Brien standing there kind of like, with this look on his face and this demeanor, kind of like a guy who was cheating on his girlfriend and just realized it was a bad idea. That's the picture that the Teamsters put out. Trump put out a picture of both of them doing the thumbs up. So not only did Trump, basically get the message that he wanted, that the unions, are listening to him. He basically backdoored him on the messaging on how it went as well.
We should make sure we mention here. I would be stunned if the UAW does not go with Joe Biden, for the reason being is that Joe Biden was the first president ever to walk a line. The
UAW may. I mean, the Teamsters, on the other hand,
the UAW
have a history of bucking, going their own way sometimes. And I've said it. If there is going to be a national union that does back Trump, the Teamsters could be because O'Brien is new in the thing, is got a different mindset. I can't imagine, given the fact that Biden did get the Butch Lewis Act passed and saved multi-employer pension funds in this system, in this country, which is why this just so curious of why the decision to go to Mar-a-Lago and sit down with Trump. Look, I understand if Trump were to come to D.C. and sit at the Teamsters headquarters, much like they're saying, hey, there's going to be a round table. Absolutely. You invite him into your round table. You treat him like everybody else. But this idea that you're making us a pilgrimage down to Mar-a-Lago down there to meet with him, to kiss the ring, this is the wrong messaging all the way, especially a couple of days before January 6th, because now we're not talking about January 6th.
Well, O'Brien is okay. His whole argument, and the Teamsters, their whole argument is he has met with other members of candidates who are running, including Kennedy, Dean Phillips, and stuff like this. They're just meeting everyone to dot I's and cross T's, which that might be what he's doing. I think your point about the photos is kind of an interesting side note. But I know it's terrestrial radio, and I know I'm supposed to be a radio professional. Can I say the full BS word? No, you can't.
Okay, but you know what I'm saying here.
Yeah.
Just so I can get that out there. Bull. Let's go with that. Because here's the thing with that. You didn't make a special trip to all of those places. You didn't go down to to Kennedy's compound. You didn't go to all of these places. Did he show up in Minnesota? Was he there to meet with Phillips? I missed that photo op.
I didn't see that. No.
Yeah. So I'm not buying that. This was something different. And that's where I have a problem with this. And here's my other problem. We know what Trump will do based on what Trump did. Trump was a very bad president for working people. You go back and you look at what he did while he was president. Everything that he did was on the side of corporate power. He doesn't support workers' rights to organize. He doesn't support collective bargaining. He doesn't support the right to strike. He is on tape saying he supports right to work. He's the guy who appointed Neil Gorsuch to the Supreme Court that brought us the Janus decision that gave us a right to work country for public sector workers. Does any of this ring a bell, maybe? I mean, this is a guy who time after time has sided with corporate power. This is a guy whose NLRB never missed an opportunity to side with corporate power. In fact, many of my labor friends during the Trump years stopped bringing cases to the NLRB because Trump's NLRB was so bad. Now, Trump's NLRB was horrible. Biden's NLRB has been magnificent for working people. Let me say this again. They have been outstanding. They have done absolutely everything I could have possibly imagined, and then some. And I can imagine some pretty great things.
Well, you brought up Trump and his history. The one of the things that I think about is, forget about him just as president, which you shouldn't. I mean, he's been horrible to the union worker there. But his entire modus operandi has been the same thing: to double cross unions on contracts, pay them far less than they agreed to work for him, and do it with a smile on his face. It's not like there's a mystery here. He has a long resume of hating unions, double crossing unions. He can't be trusted. The idea that any union would think that this is a good idea is an absolute joke.
No, absolutely. And look, Trump's a scab. He's crossed picket lines. Why you platform that person? I don't know. Now, look, what I'm being told by folks that I know is this was you know how DC PR people work. Hey, we've got a little lull. We had the high of the UPS negotiations. We need to get some energy. We need to get some activity. Maybe this will generate some attention. Well, it's getting some attention. All bad attention. And in DC, any attention is positive. Well, this is not. This is not good. This is not helpful, especially at a time when, Republicans, and I've been saying this for the last couple of years, Republicans have been trying to make a play for organized labor for a little while. You've got the Josh Hawleys of the world, the Marco Rubios of the world, trying to make themselves appear to be less anti-worker. Their voting records, still horribly anti-worker, but their rhetoric, they appear to try.
Mm-hmm.
And this, to me, is another one of those moments where Republicans are trying to make a play for union money. You're not going to get the votes. I mean, the union voters are going to vote the way they're going to vote. But this is a play for the money and to take some away from Democrats. If that were to happen, that would be a major win for Republicans. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think in this case it's going to happen. I think the blowback that O'Brien's getting right now, and from what I hear, there's mutiny going on the ship. I think the lesson is going to be learned, but this was a major mistake, I believe.
Well, okay, and we had this, and I had you on to talk about this before. The state in Minnesota here, we had the Carpenters Union. I think it was 2020, 2016. I can't remember exactly. They endorsed Trump in the state. It was one of the few unions. I mean, the police unions did, and they did. And I had the Carpenters Union guy here, and I said, you do understand. And not only did they endorse Trump, but they also endorsed Republicans in the state and that were running for office. And I said, you do understand that if that local Republican is the tie-breaking vote to kill your union, they're going to, the guy that says that they're on your side will run up with cameras rolling with a smile on their face and destroy your union in a heartbeat. And yet there's this mentality. It's like we see it in Minnesota too with these nurses unions that are voting down unions right now. They're going off the union. And the mentality is, well, the other unions will save us. And I think that that's a really stupid way, because eventually you do get to that break point where they're not going to be able to save you. And then all of a sudden everything is gone. No, and that's the problem here. And you pointed out a moment ago that, nothing comes out of Trump's mouth you can believe, because he's gonna double cross and backstab you. And I don't know what I don't know what the idea was to pull all this together. I don't know why this happened the way it did, but it was a major mistake. Now, someone said, well, should he have met with him at all? I go, yeah, of course you meet with him. If Trump were to come to D.C. and go to O'Brien's office, absolutely, like any other candidate, certainly you meet with him. You don't turn him away. Hey, look, if he came to my office, I'd meet with him. It's the platforming of Trump. It's the fact that he made the overt act to go to Mar-a-Lago to meet with him and elevate this meeting to something very special. That's the problem that I have with it, because this sends a whole different message in my view. Wasn't O'Brien just with that knucklehead from Oklahoma in the Senate who wanted to start a fight with him? It's not like the Republicans, they had an actual senator. Bernie Sanders had to basically rein in Mulwine, wasn't it? I think it was. They had
Wayne Mullen.
Mark Wayne Mullen, yeah. And
but here's the thing, I got to be completely fair. And this is completely fair. O'Brien started it.
Yeah, I did.
With his tweet, anytime cowboy, anywhere, anytime cowboy was the tweet. You go, the day he tweeted, I go, this might get him a butt whooping. In fact, I said this on air. He may have to take a butt whooping for this, because I would have to. If I said it and I'd back it up, I'd have to go down there and take a whipping.
Yeah. Well, I'd still, he's a teamster. I'll put 20 on him. It's there. Okay. And I should mention, I brought up UAW. Not the Teamsters, but the UAW. Didn't Trump back in September basically threaten the UAW, saying, if you don't support me, I will destroy you, basically?
Well, no, what he did is he's making a play, again, where they're making a play for the members by saying, your leadership is selling you out. Because Trump was, basically trying to talk to the members, saying, your leadership is demanding too much. They want too much for you. And look, when Biden walked on the picket line, Trump went to Michigan. He went to a manufacturing company, of which the owner was there with with auto worker signs, which was hysterical. But Fain handled it properly, and this is the thing that I think is important to remember. There's a way to handle Trump, and I thought Sean Fain did an amazing job of it by saying, look, at the end of the day, our job is to take on these billionaires. He says, with every fiber of our union is being poured into fighting the billionaire class and an economy that enriches people like Donald Trump at the expense of workers. He said, we can't keep electing billionaires and millionaires that don't have any understanding what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck and struggle to get by expecting them to solve the problems of the working class. I thought that was brilliant. I think Sean Fain is brilliant in handling this. Now, look, he beats up on Biden too, but not in a way that is like this, a massive slap in the face.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to tell you, and the White House started already kind of pushing back on this. There was an LA Times piece. There's some stuff. This isn't good, especially as we head into election season. I don't think it's good.
Well, and one last question about this then is do you think that this is the Teamsters basically saying, hey, the Democrats are going to be there anyway? I mean, we already know they're on board with us. So, we can go and get into bed with the Republicans because where are the Democrats going to go? They'll always be a reliable vote for us. So do you think that there's some kind of trying to play both sides of the coin thing? I mean, clearly there is some of that going on, but I mean, are we looking at something on a much larger scale as we get closer to the election?
I got to tell you, it's my view that this is someone who's whispering in President O'Brien's ear that, hey, you don't know, we should probably, hedge our bets a little bit, go meet with Trump, have dinner with him, play nice. You've said a lot of bad things about him, but hey, do this, and we're gonna endorse Biden. But if Trump wins, at least we've got this. I think there's that kind of triangulation, with the consultant class.
Okay.
You know how this stuff works. There are people who are soulless, who don't get the ultimate message. So I think I'm going to give President O'Brien the benefit of the doubt that this was a bad piece of PR consultant work, and that they should probably fire that consultant.
Obviously, you're going to have more on this tonight, 8:00 hour. The Rick Smith Show is right here on AM 950. Rick, as always, thank you very much for the insight. I appreciate it. Happy New Year to you, my friend.
You as well, my brother.
Take care. Rick Smith, the Rick Smith Show, once again, 8:00 tonight, right here on AM 950. Let's take a break. Come on back. The Matt McNeil Show on AM 950.
I'm Rachel Schroman, owner of Schroman Law, and I believe you deserve information. Our firm offers free quarterly estate planning seminars at our office in St. Paul. At these seminars, you can learn the basics of estate planning from an attorney to help you determine which estate planning documents will meet your needs and goals in an efficient and cost-effective manner. You can learn more and register at our website, schromenlaw.com/events. That's SCHROMEN law.com/events.
Cafe Latte offers made-from-scratch soups, salads, sandwiches, and mouth-watering desserts. So come check out their pizza and wine bar, or get a treat from the bakery made fresh daily. Plus, you can still do online ordering and takeout, along with gift cards. Just go to cafelatte.com and choose from their ever-changing selection of award-winning salads, sandwiches, and soups. Cafe Latte is located off Victoria and Grand and online at cafelatte.com.
1 year ago, I was in the accident which nearly killed me. The last year has been a lot of work recovering, and positivity has been a key. Staying positive, I no longer refer to the accident as an accident, but rather the day my Toyota Sienna from Rudy Luther Toyota saved my life. That's a factual statement, and the main reason why I'll always own one for the rest of my life. Some places will talk about auto safety, but I'm a living example of why you and your family can trust a Toyota from Rudy Luther Toyota. Go test drive one today and try the hybrids. They're fantastic. Rudy Luther Toyota on 394 in Golden Valley.
If you go to shoprainbowrd.com, you will find an amazing variety of adult novelties, literally thousands of items that you can peruse in the privacy of your home and have shipped to your door. Plus, in the store, you can find swimwear, casual wear, underwear, everywhere. Rainbow Road is located at 109 West Grand Street near Loring Park. Gift cards are available for the hard to shop for. Go to shoprainbowrd.com.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. So avoid gimmicks and call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067 or arrayinsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Some breaking news, but not, as Patrick said it, right? It's not a big surprise. The Supreme Court on Friday has agreed to decide whether former President Trump is ineligible for Colorado's primary ballot. They'll hear this on February 8th. Why this is interesting is I just looked at the primary. That primary date is March 5th. So this doesn't, I mean, they're probably going to hear arguments and have a ruling fairly quickly. They'll have to, or else maybe what they're trying to do is basically tie Colorado's hands, saying, we're going to put an injunction. You have to include them on until we make this decision. So we'll hear this. We won't rule until April, which means, by the way, he's going to be on the primary itself. It could I've thought about that myself. They have ways that they could force Colorado's hand on this and then still come back after the fact and say, oh, yeah, you were right to be able to remove him. Just you couldn't do it this time around. We'll have to see what happens there. I did find it interesting. His lawyer, dear God, talk about quid and pro and quo. Basically was it Fox last night saying, oh, yeah, Kavanaugh, we fought for Kavanaugh, so Kavanaugh better fight for us. I mean, she then must have realized what she just said, because she said, I mean, I'm not saying that we're telling him to rule any other way that he wants to. I'm just saying that, he'll do the right thing. They weren't even trying to hide the quid pro quo. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Another major story that broke today was something, and once again, fans of the show, if you've listened for a long time, you've heard about my religious faith, the struggles I had with the Catholic Church. We're Catholic. We were Catholic, raised the kids Catholic. We were there, and really we had seen a series of decisions to turn the Catholic Church into a political wing of the Republican Party that made us sort of say, no, we're not going to go there. And when the Conference of Catholic Bishops, when they came on out and basically said, we're going to go after Joe Biden specifically, that's when we decided to leave. And we talked to our priest, and he said, oh, yeah, you're not the only ones. And yeah, I think one of the reasons why you've seen them kind of tone down their rhetoric a little bit is, I think, at the end of the day, people aren't sitting in the pews and the money ain't going in the collection plate. So I think that's kind of the case. But where a lot of this started was Archbishop John Nienstedt, who was the bishop of the of the cathedral over in St. Paul, Archbishop over there. He was an interesting cat. I remember how full-throated he was in his endorsement of trying to write hate into the state constitution back in 2012 with the don't allow gay people to get married verbiage that they wanted to put in there, and that failed. And of course, at the same time, at the same time, they had a ballot initiative to basically prevent, immigrants from getting a driver's license, which the archdiocese was also supposedly against that bill, was against that. But of course, you never heard their opinion to that, because that was something the conservatives, the Republicans, were pushing, and he didn't want to upset them. He didn't mind upsetting those heathen liberals, like, Jesus. But I've read the New Testament, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. You should read that. He's not a Republican. He's not. Anyway, some breaking news with him. 9 years after the Twin Cities Archbishop Nienstedt resigned after charges of a sex abuse cover-up, the Holy See in Rome concluded its investigation, determined that he did not commit a crime. Even so, Pope Francis decided that because some of Nienstedt's conduct during his 8 years of leadership was imprudent, there were some stories, the former archbishop cannot return to the church's province of St. Paul, Minneapolis, which also includes all of Minnesota and North and South Dakota, to live or to do church work. Though the evidence available did not support a finding, this is in quotes, though the evidence available did not support a finding that any conduct on the part of Archbishop Nienstedt could be judged as derelict, It was communicated to me that several instances of imprudent actions were brought to light. Archbishop Bernard Hebda, who took over for his predecessor in 2016, said in a statement on Friday. Hebda did not clarify what those imprudent actions were, but he said the Holy See determined that they did not either individually or as a whole warrant any further investigation or penal sanctions. Neinstedt, who lives in Michigan, according to the Archdiocese, has denied the allegations. Pope's new determination also bars him from doing church work outside of the diocese where he lives without getting special permission and informing Rome. There were some stories. The fact that it's not necessarily a full, pardon per se of his actions. That was I've talked about this before. I'll never forget that. Going into church one day and looking at the pews, and it's like, why is there only like a third of the people here? And it was that stark. It was that stark. And that was after the child sex scandal. And the reason why, and I've talked about this before as well, the reason why we didn't leave the church at that point was because, it was one of those things where the priests we had were just as outraged and upset as anyone else. And, they are like, that's not our church and so you have to kind of bear it on an individual basis. And they were some of the most vocal, opponents of leniency on some of these people I'd heard. So it was kind of one of those things where we were there. But in the wake of that, I think it was, and clearly when you look at the primary benefactor to any individual parish, the fact is there's a lot of Republican conservatives that basically were bankrolling the individual churches, and they were basically dictating what kind could be and could not be, preached from the pulpit. I mean, clearly that was going on. I was at some churches and like, okay, really? But it seems like that there was the American Catholic Church really started to embrace Republican talking points as a way to try to get parishioners back into the pews. And to a point it worked, but at what cost? Well, I've left the church. My family has. We're going to a Lutheran church now. It's a very nice church. I'm very happy with it. And I'm sorry, I don't go there to be told that unless I vote for a certain political candidate, that I'm a sinner. And that wasn't happening in my church. My church was fairly liberal. As a matter of fact, back in 2012, when they had the anti-gay marriage amendment, Neinstedt basically apparently had told the priest to encourage people to vote for it. And he says, I'm not going to do that. You're educated people. You go do what you want to do, to a rousing standing ovation in our church. Our church was fairly liberal, but enough was enough. And yeah, I think that I don't know if it's changed anything. I will say this. I've noticed that the American Catholic Church is definitely toning down their rhetoric towards Democrats, but the damage has already been done in a lot of ways. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. But that's just my personal journey. You do or don't do whatever it is you do or don't want to do. All right? All right. Let's take a break. When we come back, Michael Broadcorp joins us. It is football talk time. We'll do that when we do return. It is the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950.
Are your remote workers putting your company at risk? Not sure what steps to take to secure your data? Hi, Mark Sommerfeld from Rymark. The Rymark team is guiding our clients through these difficult times. In fact, demand has been so high, we created an easy-to-follow guide with the 5 steps to securely work from home. It's yours free. Download our 5 steps to securely work from home now at rymarkit.com or call 651-328-8900 for a no-cost how-to discussion.
It takes teamwork to stay safe on Minnesota roads during the winter. You can help. When you see snowplows at work, slow down. Slower speeds can save lives. Don't crowd the plow and leave plenty of space between yourself and other vehicles. Keep your headlights on to see and be seen. Avoid distractions and always stay alert behind the wheel. This message brought to you by the Minnesota Department of Transportation, the Minnesota Broadcasters Association, and this station.
Hi,
Hi, I'm Kelly Kirk.
I'm Chad Larson.
And I'm Joe Kirk.
Your hosts for Searching for Service. Tune in to Rotary's influential show and podcast, sharing touching stories of service locally and abroad.
We bring you weekly guests that connect, inform, and inspire our listeners on all things service.
We highlight diverse service opportunities that appeal to both Rotarians and people driven to serve in their communities.
Tune in Sundays at 3 p.m. or anytime via podcast. It's time
to stop searching
and start serving.
Tune in every Saturday from 2 to 3 p.m. for a full hour celebrating LGBTQ stories, culture, and entertainment in Minnesota with This Queer Book Saved My Life and The Gailey Show. Can't catch the shows live? Then listen through your favorite podcasting app. Plus, you can watch The Gailey Show anytime on AM 950's YouTube channel or Facebook page. For all the details, visit thisqueerbook.com or am950radio.com. We'll see you Saturdays at 2 p.m. or anytime via podcast, YouTube, or Facebook.
Temperatures are cooling off and fall migration is underway. Do you know what that means? Eagle viewing season is almost here, and the National Eagle Center is your headquarters for information and experiences. This winter, experience bald and golden eagles in the wild with an unforgettable expert-led field trip. Plan your private eagle habitat tour and learn where the best eagle viewing is with weekly eagle counts. Plus, you can visit the eagles at the center all season long. Plan your visit or experience today online at nationaleaglecenter.org.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for cloudy skies today with a high near 33. Tonight, some light snow with a low around 27. And Saturday, more light snow with a high around 34. Eat Local Minnesota is a great way to find locally owned Minnesota restaurants and food purveyors. They feature high-quality food and unique eating experiences for your next meal. Some of those restaurants and food purveyors include the Park Tavern and Vinaigrette. Find a full list of all those restaurants and food purveyors at eatlocalminnesota.com.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, the Matt McNeil Show, 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Michael Broadcorp, not only is he an expert at political conversation here in Minnesota, especially from the Republican side, but he's also been our Vikings correspondent. He is kind enough today to join us. And I sure did not want you on the air on Monday. I'm glad we had the New Year's Day because I cannot imagine Monday you would have been in a good mood to talk about what exactly happened last week. And Michael Broadcorp is here to talk about Vikings. Hi, Michael.
Yes, great to be here. It was tough. My wife, I'm married to a Green Bay Packer fan, and she's the worst type of Vikings Packers fan in the sense that she just wants both teams to have a fun time. She wants it to be a good game. It was not a good game. It was not an enjoyable experience, and the Vikings lost. And this is where we're at today. I'm coming off a Packer loss. Not a good time to be a Vikings fan.
I would drive a kid over to a sleepover in Wisconsin at a cabin for a few days. And so I was in Wisconsin. All of a sudden it dawned on me it's 3:00 on New Year's Eve. I said, I'm in Wisconsin on New Year's Eve and the Packers play at night. I said, I need to get the hell out of this state. Just need to get out of there before chaos ensued. I imagine it did. 33-10 was the final there as the Packers won. But you and I talked last Friday about the fact that this game was exactly what we thought it was going to be. It was an audition for Jaron Hall to go see if the Vikings did indeed have a backup quarterback that could come in the future and be there in case if next year a similar situation happens where the starter goes out. Correct.
That's what happened, and he did and where we're at is that Nick Mullins is starting on Sunday. Yes, working. That's where he is right now. It's Nick Mullins will start on Sunday. So it was just not a good performance by Jared Hall, and it was not a good experience for the Vikings and the fans based on the score. Nick Mullins came in. He did move the ball pretty well, but just was not in a position to win the game and come back closely. So I think the Vikings leadership, I think the head coach made a good decision in having Nick Mullins come in and start on a Sunday for the final game against the Detroit Lions. And so I think that was the best move for O'Connell to make, and he did. And that's where we're at coming in Sunday with a different starting quarterback. Mullins has been in the rotation, but this is a different starting quarterback, and we'll see how it goes on Sunday.
Hall, 5 of 10, 67 yards. His QBR was 1.1. To give you an idea, Jordan Love, who is, that Packer team is not nearly as good as they try to make themselves out to be, but they beat us. But Jordan Love's QBR was 82.7. So that tells you a lot there. So it's not Hall. And Mullins came in and he was 13 for 22. So 500 basically, 113 yards. He did get a touchdown, but it's clear Dobbs, Mullins, Hall, none of these guys is worthwhile for us to consider for a backup quarterback in the future. Is that a safe assessment?
Correct. I mean, I think that no one has dazzled. I think it's fair to say that Dobbs did some good things in a couple games, but it's clearly been shown in the last few games that no one, I think, has really in the last few games that no one has really risen to the occasion. I think that we've had there's been a heavy rotation in the quarterback spot. We haven't seen stability. We haven't seen someone rise to the occasion and kind of cement that role in any type of way. There was a possibility, as we discussed when this kind of started, when we were in the very early stages of dealing with the aftermath of Cousins' injury, was there going to be someone that was going to come in and potentially compete for Cousins for that job? And it was pretty clear after the first couple of games that Cousins was in a strong position and that he would be in a good position if he wanted to come back. But now we've gotten into a weaker position where it's pretty clear that we need a strong QB. We don't have it. And right now, I think what's being played out is who's going to be the most qualified backup for the quarterback that comes in, because we can't start the season next year with any of the quarterbacks that have been playing in the last 6 to 8 games.
There was an interesting element. I saw an analysis of the Vikings, and they said one of the problems that they were having was that, Cousins has a strong arm and he has accuracy and he can throw downfield with shocking ability. And the Vikings, Dobbs was different, but Dobbs was only different because he was scrambling for his life. The Vikings themselves, the game plan that they put into place for Mullins, for Hall, for Dobbs, really was the Cousins version with maybe one or two tweaks. And that if you're going to go with someone who doesn't have the arm strength or the accuracy of Cousins, why in the hell are you doing a game plan that is geared towards a guy like that?
Correct, and I think you've been spot on about that. The play calling hasn't matched up with the strengths and or weaknesses of who's in the QB spot, and I think we've seen that. We've seen a high number of interceptions, some bad passes, some bad kind of in the pocket decisions, and so we haven't found that groove. We had a little bit of success in the Atlanta game, and then the follow-up game there was some success, but we haven't been able to find that groove. And there's no other way to describe it than I think the Vikings are just limping in to the final game of the season. There is I think a less than 5% chance. I think I looked, it was around 3% chance of them making the playoffs. They could still make the playoffs right now they're 7-9 as an 8-9 team. They could make the playoffs. It's a lot of things have to happen, but the QB position and I also will just raise the concern that if this situation were to repeat itself next season, and if we had a strong Cousins, it's pretty clear that we have to make two decisions in the quarterback position. Number one, who's going to be the starting quarterback next year for the Minnesota Vikings, and who is going to be the qualified backup quarterback. And I think we saw in this particular situation this season the need to having a strong backup quarterback. There needs to be a redundancy system in place for the Vikings in the quarterback position. And I think we have a lot of QB questions that need to be answered, because aside from figuring out who's going to be the starter, I really think we need to figure out who's going to be the backup. And, there's a lot of years where the Vikings have had a quarterback position where who the backup was. You'd like to be in the situation, Matt. I think all NFL's teams would be, is that the backup is just that, the backup. They're just the backup. You don't know who they are, and they're not
holding the clipboard.
Integral part of the game plan.
Yeah.
But it's pretty clear that this season that we need to have both a strong quarterback and a strong backup, because what happened this season has shown that we've had weaknesses in both.
When I heard that argument about the fact that they didn't change the game plan for these other quarterbacks, the first thing that I thought about in my mind is, are the Vikings tipping their hand that they're basically that Cousins is coming back? Cousins is, they feel as if Cousins is going to be there. And so they basically said, we're just not going to, change everything. And we want these players, we want the linemen, we want the receivers, we want the defense, we want everyone to play the same exact way, because frankly, come preseason next year, it's Cousins teams again. Is that is that one way? I mean, I'm not crazy to take it that way. Is that the fact that they didn't change their game plan really is the Vikings screaming at the top of their lungs, no matter what we're signing Cousins?
I think it could be, yes. I mean, let's just talk about, I think Kirk Cousins has done everything he can to show that he's committed to this Vikings franchise, including showing up to the last game and blowing the horn with the shirt off. And so I think he's really become, he's really renewed himself, and he's been in the attention span of the Vikings. He's made sure to be part of the community, part of the fan experience. And there are not, his presence there. I think he's doing everything he can that he shows that he wants to be here. And I think you raised a very astute point about the Vikings game plan and how they're structuring it right now to telegraph that they want Cousins here. I would be very surprised, Matt, as we're coming into week 18, as we've entered week 18, the final weekend of the NFL season. I will say to you, for probably in the most confident way, I would be surprised if Cousins is not back. I would be surprised that there's just not an opportunity, or there's not, because I think both sides have indicated, or at least showing, at least to me, the amateur in the cheap seats, that there's a willingness that they want to continue the dance a little bit. I'd be surprised if he wasn't here. Okay. I really would.
Is it like you talked like last week? I mean, okay, so you go into the draft. As far as the lackluster running game, find someone on the free agent market, get them in here in the offseason. But look at your clearly because of Cousins, and we have to take into account he's coming off a major injury. So there is a likelihood he might miss a few games. Go on out there and find the QB of the future for the team in the draft, get them in there. You think that is possibly their game plan they're looking ahead toward when the draft comes through?
I gotta tell you, that's where I think it's at. I think that we've really seen over the last, how many games where we've been rotating the QB position, shown a real lack of strength in that backup position. And this team needs an anchor. It needs an anchor in that QB position. And, best case scenario is that we're going to get a repaired Kirk Cousins in some form next season that can, is he going to have the same mobility? Is he going to have the same ability to scramble and move across the field and do those types of things? There's a lot of questions. There's a lot of ifs there with Cousins right now. Assuming all that goes well, he's not the long-term solution for the Minnesota Vikings in terms of 4 or 5 years down the road. And it's pretty clear that our bench is light on the QB position. So I think it makes sense right now that that's where they go. It's really the biggest hole. I mean, the Vikings have some open pores right now, but the most immediate Band-Aid that needs to be solved is the QB position. Then we can get to the running back and get to some other places that we need to go. But the QB right now is what has dominated this season, and the instability in that position. And that needs to be fixed in the offseason, and it needs to be a priority.
I'm going to bring this up. I'm sorry. I'm from the get-go, I'm going to say I'm sorry, my friend. 2-6 at home. I don't care which team you are. That's unacceptable. You can't go 2-6 at home. That's god-awful.
Yes, and as someone who is, had season tickets, and my family's had season tickets, a lot of history going to games, it's been a very rough season for Vikings fans. Yes. I will also say to you, Matt, and I was coming on and I was trying to think, what's the best way I can frame up the season? And I've come to this and say, the best experience aside of going to some games with some family members and continuing the tradition that my grandfather and my father started, is having these experiences and these opportunities to talk with you. There's been some really ugly games. And the game day experience this season at US Bank, while it's a lovely stadium and it's a great crowd, boy, it's been an ugly game day experience. And that's been it's really real tough, particularly after what happened last year, to have a 2-6 record at home. That's something that the Vikings fans are not used to. And it's been a pretty rough experience. And it's something that I've talked about on the podcast with you before, on our radio discussion before, and I've heard this on a lot of other podcasts and other analysts talk about this, that the Vikings games that have happened at home, particularly at home this year, have been really bad games. And it's the 2-6 record, I think, doesn't necessarily, that's a bad mathematical setup, but those 6 losses at home, those were some very tough games, some ugly games. Yes. And the fan experience has been tough this year. Been very tough this year.
Detroit, final game at Detroit here. The question is how long does Detroit play their starters? I think they're pretty much convinced that they're going to be the 3 seed. I think they got a chance still to be the 1 seed. I'm not sure how big that is, but I think most people are expecting that the Lions starters are going to be out there for maybe a quarter, maybe 2, and then that's going to be the end of it. Does that give the Vikings a chance to win this game, do you think?
I think it does. I mean, Detroit has, there is a path for it's a difficult path, particularly after what happened in Dallas. It's a pretty difficult path, and I don't know long term what would be the benefits. I think a lot of things have to come into play for Detroit's team to go up and get that number 1 seed, and so I think they're pretty in a good spot in where they are right now. I don't see the benefit of them playing their starters and engaging. I think this could be a game that they don't need to win. That certainly doesn't have. They've locked in the Central. They've locked in the. See, I almost said it there again. They've locked in the NFC North for the first time in like 30 years. They've locked it in, and so they're in the playoffs. The Vikings need to win this game, and so I think it'd be smart for them to sit some of their players, and we'll see. But they're coming off a very tough game in Dallas. And
I don't want to take their side, but they got screwed. I mean, clearly the guy checked in, and as a matter of fact, my son was watching the game and he said, this is their design play. The guy checked in, 2-point conversion to go for the win. Although we can have, when it came to the 3rd time for that 2-point conversion, I think at that point you say, just get the kicking team out there and kick the damn thing. But that aside, I think Detroit got screwed, and I say that after Detroit taunted the fans here in Minnesota. I'm not a fan of Detroit, but that was a bad call.
I would completely agree with you. I'm not a fan of Detroit. They absolutely got hosed on that call. There's no question about it. And I have a feeling that they're going to be I think the most dangerous team right now in the playoffs are the Detroit Lions. They're coming in. I think they got a chip on their shoulder. They're angry about that game in Dallas. Their fan base is energized. Their coaching staff is energized. The players are energized. And they have a kind of us versus them mentality right now. And what they've done in the NFC North, the historical kind of move that they made this season, they're very dangerous, a very dangerous team. That being said, I think it would have been better if they would have won in Dallas, and I think they would have been in a much more comfortable position to let this game go on Sunday. I think they're going to have, independent of whether it's the starters or starters or not, depending on what percentage, Vikings got to come out and play. But I think Detroit's going to be in a strong position, and it's obviously statistically, in order for the Vikings to make the playoffs, they have to win against Detroit, which isn't an easy task, but they have to win. And then a series of things have to happen for them to make the playoffs, which I'm ready to articulate when you give me that space.
All right, go, because the Packers have to lose, correct?
Yes, the Vikings need to win at Detroit. Seattle must lose at Arizona, and the Packers must lose to the Bears. So those 3 ands have to happen. The Vikings have to win, the Seahawks have to lose, and the Packers need to lose to the Bears. And then there needs to be one of these 2 things happen. St. Louis needs to lose to the Atlanta Falcons, or the Bucs lose at Carolina. So the Vikings, 3 things have to happen, and then a combination of 2 others. And right now, those chances, I just checked, 3%
is
the chances of the Vikings to make the playoffs. So you're telling me there's a chance, but I'll be cheering on the Vikings on Sunday at home. But it's a tough road. It's a tough road for them to make the playoffs.
I will say this. Okay, so here's our game plan. Next Friday, you're back. We'll do a playoff preview. We're going to presume Sans Vikes. But we'll do a playoff preview. We'll do your picks on this. And then for sure, and one thing I did not mention to you, right before the Super Bowl, we got to have you back on and kind of give you your thoughts on that game as well, okay?
Of course, sir.
All right. Michael, one quick question, if I can, about politics, because you are such a smart mind on politics. And I had someone ask me this question. Minnesota 7. Michelle Fischbach is up there. She should be the incumbent. She shouldn't have any problem. But there's this guy, is it Boyd, who's up there, who's a Republican challenging her in the primary, and that he's going the real far MAGA route. Now, if that's going to play in any district, Minnesota 7's the one. She's not in trouble, is she?
No, I think that there's been, Congresswoman Fishbach is not in any trouble. She beat Colin Peterson, which was a great victory in the Republican side, a big win. There's always going to be some inter-party contests, and this is one that's kind of festered up. I have no concern that she's vulnerable in the endorsement process or vulnerable in the general election. Great organization, great farm team. A great development team up there that are just, working with the activists and stuff. But that's a good conservative district for Republicans. And so it's not surprising. For example, Congresswoman Omar has got a couple challengers running against her in these types of strong partisan races where there's one political party that has a real strong kind of good position on the seat. You sometimes see these inter-party challenges that happen, but I think it's not a significant challenge to Fishbach. I think she's got a great organization, great political team, and I think she's in a very strong position both to get endorsed and to win the general election. And as we, you may have discussed on another show, but she and 4 members of Minnesota's congressional delegation just came out in support of Donald Trump's candidacy for presidency. I think that just looking at the map politically in the state and knowing a lot of the Republican activists, 7th congressional district is a strong Trump district. It's a strong area of the state for his campaign and what's going on right now. And so I think she's aligned herself in a good position to be endorsed quite handily and win her seat for re-election.
Oh, it was a profile in courage watching Tom Emmer make that endorsement after Trump torpedoed his speaker bid. So it's profile in courage from Tom Emmer. But yeah, I agree with you. I get it. The guy's going ultra MAGA. I still don't think it's going to be enough to knock off Fishbach up there. So we'll talk more politics. We'll talk more politics throughout the year for sure. Michael Broadcorp. Michael, as always, thank you very much. We'll talk to you next Friday.
Sounds great. I hope we'll be in good spirits. We'll talk soon.
Talk to you soon. We'll take a break. Come on back. Some music on a Friday. It's the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950.
Hi, I'm Mary T, inviting you to experience our integrative Mary T Health and Wellness Center, offering physical, occupational, speech, and lymphedema therapies. Experience our guided imagery, meditation, Tibetan medicine, dry needling, massage services, including cupping and oncology massage. Sign up for our free wellness screenings and learn more at marytwellness.com. All major health insurance providers are accepted. Come for therapy, experience wellness.
Magus Books, your multicultural spiritual supply store. Stop in and expand your horizons with books, classes, readings, and supplies at magusbooks.com or in our shop at 1848 Central Avenue Northeast in Minneapolis. From the best incense to beautiful statues, we have supplies and books for your spiritual explorations. Come in and chat with our knowledgeable staff and get what you need for your next adventure, whether you're fighting ghosts or opening your third eye. Check us out today at magusbooks.com.
Hey, this is Ellie Krug with Ellie 2.0 Radio. Did you know that we've been doing this show for 6 years on AM 950? And it's one of the only, I think it may be the only show about idealism in all of Radioland. And now the show's at 4 o'clock on Saturdays and still from 1 to 2 on Sundays. It'll be part of a new concept, a series of LGBTQ hosted shows and podcasts. Make sure to check it out.
All right. No worries, man. No worries. Patrick in there, getting my music ready to go because I got to get some dancing going on here before things go too well. Can I just one quick thing here before we get out of the show for this week? Remember yesterday, Dr. Joe, go get vaccinated. Go get your vaccinations. Go get your flu. Go get your COVID. Go get them. I don't want you sick. I don't want you dead. I don't want you in a lifetime of debt. I want you to be okay. If I had to go back to that statement, I'll go back to that statement. But get vaccinated, all right? All right. Friday music is Everclear. We are going out with this. Have a fantastic weekend. We are going to be back here on a Monday. Native Roots Radio is up next. Until Monday, see ya.
Scary John gives a strong arm on. He can break me and make me happy with his blackjack. Scary John has a heavy hand on. He smiles without his eyes, nice and easy with his blackjack. Don't tell me that you didn't see this coming down.
don't say that this isn't what you want now. Scary Johnny gets a strong arm on. He can break me and make me happy with his blackjack. Scary John always knows what's going on. He is everywhere, happy with his blackjack. Don't tell me that you didn't see this coming down. No, 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 please don't say that this isn't what you wanted now. Yeah, this is your American dream. Everything is simple in the white and the black. Never need to see the gray anymore. You will never have to be afraid when you are happy with the blackjack. I hope you're happy with the blackjack.
Hi, Matt McNeil here. You've demanded it, and AM 950 will deliver. The AM 950 calendars are back for 2024. This year's calendars features photos I've taken across Minnesota, plus important dates in both progressive and AM 950